Hi, I'm Shantae Jackson with Sandal Blue Foundation, and I am so excited that you are here for today's resource conversation. These conversations are designed to help motor vehicle incident survivors and their caregivers with practical tips, tools, and resources. We are super lucky, me especially, because today we have my mom with us. Tina, we are so thrilled that you are here. All right. So it may be obvious that my mom knows a little bit about caregiving because of the experiences of being my caregiver. And if you don't know our story, our family was in a catastrophic car wreck, and my mom was one of our closest supporters, and she jumped all in at helping any way she could. And we recognize that for caregivers that you are filling a lot of roles. You're dealing with what's going on with yourself as well as navigating a lot of things for your loved ones. So, Tina, tell us a little bit about what your role was after our wreck.
Well, I think you can't really define the role when something that big happens, but you kind of have to take it day by day and do what comes that day.
Mm,
In our specific situation, we were helping with a grandson that was not hospitalized, but still needed some surgeries and help medically, which was completely out of our comfort zone because we hadn't had a kid in the house for many years.
mm.
But the main role with him was helping through those surgeries and helping emotionally and physically at that point in time. And then as time progressed, the role kind of changed to helping out the family in general as time went on.
I love that. And I think it's such an important reminder for caregivers to recognize that it's going to change day by day. It's the same way for survivors, but the people that are taking care of them, those changes that are happening to you as a survivor are also happening to the caregivers that are helping you. And it's one of those situations where you get thrown in and then you got to go with the flow. There's no choice about it. You're going with the flow whether you want to or not. And I appreciate that reminder. So, all of you that are caregiving, just know that from day to day, things are going to change and that you're able to shift as things come. Don't worry about what's coming in a week or in 3 months. Just do what's in front of you today, and you'll be able to take on tomorrow when it comes. I love that. Now, from what I'm hearing, and I know this obviously because it was my family, but you were caretaking for a grandson, and then things shifted later on. And when things shifted, you had a lot of schedules that you were trying to keep track of. I have 5 kids, 2 of them were in that wreck, and you were really doing a great job. But how did you navigate that? How did you keep track of schedules for 5 kids and 2 adults all trying to get better?
That's a good question, and it is not easy. Um, because I'm an accountant, I'm very organized, and because I'm not of the computer age, I do everything by hand. So we created calendars, and we actually put a binder together with calendars and wrote schedules down so no matter who was helping out had access to that. We kept it in the house where the kids were. Everybody had access to that. Everybody could write on it, and everybody that way we weren't trying to keep everybody's phones on the same. It's just too much. So writing it down, uh, between writing it down, putting it in a binder, and honestly prioritizing was the main things that I think that I latched to help me get through each day.
Mm. The very first thing you said is I had to do what worked. That is gold because for you, the idea of sitting down and making a Google Calendar or working through an app isn't what would work for you. And what worked for you was a pen and paper, a physical binder. I remember this binder. I'll see if I can find a picture to put it in. And each page, it was just like notebook paper, I think. Each page was a day. And then everybody could write in what was going on that day. They could flip ahead, like, hey, I've got soccer practice this day. Hey, somebody's picking up groceries that day. And it was really, really easy to visibly see. And what really stands out to me is you made a system that would work if you needed to take a step away, right? It wasn't a system that was just going to work for you. So then you were maybe bound to having to be with us. You created a system that was going to work so that if anybody was there helping or you needed to leave, everybody kind of knew where to go and how to track what was happening and what the needs were. So I love that. Thank you. Now, what are some, or maybe there wasn't, but what were some small, kind of practical day to day things that you felt like were helpful for you as a caregiver? This could be things that are helping you sustain yourself, or things that really help sustain the day to day happenings that happened in our house.
That's a good question because I think it's kind of a two-part question.
Yeah.
Um, but if I focus on me, I had to step back and give myself time every day. And I had to kind of create a plan around that. So when the kids were in bed, I actually had an actual time at a certain time every day. I would do something. And in my specific case, I would take a bath or I would read a book. Those are the two things that helped me get through
Mm,
each day.
mm,
Now, as far as helping the family and helping in general, there's a few things that I found through life that when hard things come up help. And one of them is paper products. If you buy paper products, you don't have to do dishes. And that's one thing on your list you don't have to worry about.
mm,
Some people find dishes soothing. I don't. I prefer to just throw them away. Um, Music was really big. Your kids were raised with music. I love music, and so just getting through day to day, a lot of it was remembering what makes us happy,
mm.
and music was one of the main things that we used to help.
Yeah. And I think that's so important because while you're caregiving, you're finding time for yourself, but then you're also finding a way to bring joy back in, right? We're thrown into this situation and nothing feels normal. And just having something, and yes, for our family, it's totally music. Having something that feels upbeat and normal shifts the energy so quickly. It made everybody feel a little bit better. In this situation, loved paper products. We didn't have the capacity to keep up with dishes, whether it was when we were back home or when my mom was caretaking. There wasn't enough time and space and energy to do dishes. It was such a huge help. She'd always keep a whole stack of bowls for cereal, spoons, whatever it was that we needed, and it made such a big difference. Now, there's something else that you did for us that really, really helped that was down the road after you weren't living with us any longer, and you got us a cleaner. Can you tell us a little bit about your thought process, how you went about that?
Yes. You know, I've never used someone to come in and help clean the house, but you literally physically could not vacuum
Yeah.
and or clean, and it's one of those things that just makes you feel better when the house is picked up and cleaned. And so I knew when I was going to be gone and you were going to be back together as a family that that was one thing that was going to be hard, really hard.
Yeah.
And so getting the house cleaned, um, I work full time. I couldn't come clean your house.
Yeah.
And it's just something that, it's helping someone else as well,
Mm,
right? So someone coming in to help you clean your house, it's giving them an opportunity to make money and help you as well.
Yeah.
And so, honestly, it was hard because you guys do not live in a normal city situation. You live in a small town. So it was a lot of calling people,
Mm.
um, asking around who had, do you know anybody that's had a housekeeper? Who do you know who it was? Do you know where I can find one? So it took a bit of work, but I
Yeah.
think it was worth it in the end, and something that was kind of necessary when you have injuries and you just can't do it yourself.
Yeah, it was one of those things I never would have thought of for myself. But then once we started having her come routinely, it really did change everything. I knew that I wasn't going to have to do the little things that do they really matter at the end of the day? Not necessarily, right? Like it's more important for us to be alive and healing and going through the recovery process, but to know that our toilets were scrubbed, like those types of things really did help and our house was vacuumed and those things because we did have people coming over and helping a lot and they were a lot. I mean, we had a pretty big rotation of people that were coming and they could come and focus on other things because the house was cleaned. That was such a huge help. And I heard you say you physically could not clean. And it's true, we physically could not clean. The four oldest people in the house were all injured, and we couldn't physically clean. There was one more thing that you did that I want to bring up. I typically do the haircuts for our family. It saves a lot of money for me to cut everybody's hair. And that's something that you took on yourself was to start getting everybody's haircut, taking them out to do that. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, school was getting ready to start, and we did the school shopping thing, made sure everybody felt comfortable, had all their supplies. But um, like you said, you'd always cut their hair, and it was just something that I thought would make them feel better.
Mm.
And so it was not a necessity by any means, but I think it was kind of one of those things that emotionally just helped everybody kind of, okay, I feel good, I look good, I can go to school even though all of these other things are happening as well.
Yeah, and I will never forget you sending me pictures of them, and you could tell they felt so good. They're doing their cute little kid poses and showing their little haircuts, and they did. They felt, again, it created this sense of normalcy for them, and they felt confident and like you said, it was instead of feeling like I'm so focused on all of this stuff happening and how am I going to cope with that when I get to school and my friends are asking, I at least, have a new pair of clothes. My
Mhm.
hair's cut. I've got my binder. The teacher will know that I have everything ready to go. And it really did make such a big difference. That's something that you continued to do for quite some time, and it helped so much. Now, shifting gears a little bit, I'm curious how you would handle things when multiple needs came up at the same time. We have a large family. So I'm sure that there were times that more than one thing came up that needed to happen, what would you do with that?
Well, you had a lot of people willing to help, and not everybody is that lucky.
Yeah.
But we had basically a list of people that we could turn to, and ask for help. There were little things that people would not think of, but when I asked them, for instance, I could do a Walmart order and have them pick up the groceries for us. Another thing, and you have to think out of the box in these times, right? Because you've got so many things going on, you can't do them all, and you're not used to doing them all. And so don't expect to do them all, right? But something as simple as getting on your phone at night and doing the order for Walmart and having somebody else pick it up is a huge help. Um, we had somebody that helped. We put the laundry outside. So when they had time, they'd come pick up the laundry and then they'd bring the laundry back clean when they had time. And
Yes.
so it was one less thing we had to do. So when all of the multiple things would come up, that's when I had to kind of step back and say, let's think out of the box. How can we
Mm,
accomplish all of these things
mm,
today?
I love that. The thinking outside of the box goes along with the going with the flow. And then also, what I'm hearing is when people said, "How can I help?" you had some ideas of ways to answer, right? You thought outside of the box. And instead of being like, "Oh, we're good," you allowed yourself to say, "Actually, I don't have time to go to the store, but I don't have the time to tell you what we need either." So you figured out a way to solve that problem and think outside of the box by putting in an order, a grocery pickup. They went to get it, brought it back. Same with the laundry. I always joke, I've literally put my dirty laundry outside. Who cares, right? If somebody is willing to help in that way, again, it's something less for you to take care of, whether you're the caretaker or the survivor, because somebody else is willing to do that. Thank you for sharing that. I think something that I see really often with caregivers is trying to manage the stress of doing all of these things. You already spoke once that you had a set time that you had some me time. Was there anything else that you did that to just help you stay organized or manage the stress that felt helpful kind of for the longevity of caretaking?
I think everybody's personality is just very different, but I think in general, if we remember that there is a gift that is outside, there is a gift that is, I don't know how to word this. If we just walk outside for a few minutes and sit in the sun and get some fresh air, whether we take a walk or just sit in the grass for a few minutes, I think that is one of the best de-stressors that does not take a lot of time, but accomplishes a lot in the way our bodies react to it.
That's beautiful. And if people are in they're caretaking at the hospital or at the rehab center, they still can go outside. That's something that you can do from anywhere. And if you can't go physically outside, which is rare, but if you can't physically go outside to just change your venue, that's something that I'm always saying. Just change your venue. I know for us, when we were in our home, I got really sick of our room. So I would try to change my venue by going to the living room. That was my spot for the day. And if I could get outside, that was great. We would try to have walks to the mailbox, but if not, just changing venues. And as a caretaker, that shift that happens, I could see it in the people that were caring for us, just getting outside and the difference that that made. Now, looking back, what strategies worked best for you as a caretaker? You mentioned a little bit about being organized just because of your job and the way your brain thinks, but what are some of the things that you look back now and you go, that was good. That worked really, really well.
Honestly, prioritizing was probably the main thing, and letting things go if you can't if you can't, or it's more of a, it's okay. It's okay to let that go. I'm going to prioritize these things are the most important, and your lists are going to be long every day. You're going to want to do too many things every day. And so prioritizing, I daily prioritized. I got up and I got in the binder. I went to see what was happening that day, and I daily prioritized. And don't try to do more than you need to.
Mm,
It's not necessary. Just
mm.
do what you can do and be okay with it.
I love that. I think that's a good motto for life in general, but especially in this situation because there's more going on than you're going to have the bandwidth for. And so prioritizing that gives yourself grace and it allows you to see, I am doing what I can. I'll let other people do what they can, and it will all work out. Everything will be, get cared for if we're prioritizing the most important things. I love that. Tina, is there anything that you would like to share that you haven't yet, or something that you would like to leave the caretakers that are listening now?
It's hard, but there's light at the end of the tunnel. Trust the doctors, trust your family, trust the people that have been affected. Everybody's probably stronger than you think they are, including yourself. So I wasn't going to cry, but hang in there. You'll be okay. It will all be okay. It's a long road, but you'll all be okay. You'll make it through. And I said a lot of prayers, and there were a lot of blessings and a lot of people out there that want to help. Let them. They deserve the blessings as well. So hang
Wonderful.
in there.
It's a really good message for everybody to hear. There is light at the end of the tunnel. We are here at Sandal Blue Foundation to help and to be in your corner and to be alongside you as you go through this journey. And you will get through it, and it will get better, and you will be able to start to look back and see how far you've come. Whether you're a caretaker or a survivor or someone that's watching people do this, there is that light. Tina, thank you so much for joining. I know that this isn't easy, but we're so glad to have your wisdom and your light with us.
Thank you.
And with that, we hope that this made your road a little bit easier.